Windows wide, the curtains fly to catch the evening breeze. Without you here to keep me warm, believe I'd rather freeze. Believe I'd rather freeze. And how long can we walk that line?
I need you down for a little croquet.
Well, you know I left my clubs in the car. The clubs, I don't even know what it's called.
The dreams we never planned. When the sky said the winter time is coming on, and you cry to see a shadow, babe, it's growing long across the lawn. Another song.
Things have quieted down a little bit down here now. I got a good opportunity to show you guys these campsites here at Jekyll Island Campground. It's a really nice campground, but there's a lot of trees in here, so the campsites are not as well defined as they are in some of the other places we go, like the state park. So they're not necessarily blocked off as much. They do have these little signs right here which tells you where your site is, but with our site here, you can see we've got this big tree right here, so I couldn't back it in real close to my water or my electrical box there. So what I had to do is just back it in, and nice thing about a pop-up, you can pick it up and scoot it over. So we just kind of picked it up, scooted over that way, so we got closer to our electrical supply there. We got a pretty good sized spot, and they got them packed in here. You can see all the different orientations of the campers. They're not all square spots by any means, but we got a good spot here, plenty of good room, nice fire pit there. All the spots have the picnic table like you see here. Got trees to hang our lanterns on, plenty of room for both of our pullouts. Now when we come in here on Friday, all these spots were filled, but it thinned out a lot Saturday morning, so there's not as many people in here. All these spots right here had campers in them. So this is kind of the end of our spot here where that yellow stop is. If we look at it from this end here, we can see a good bit of room. Not the roomiest campsite we've ever had, but definitely not the tightest we've ever had. A lot more room than we had at Black Rock, but all in all, a really nice campground. All these trees, look up here, we got some really good shade. So even though it got up to about 77 today, we really didn't notice it here because it's so well shaded. Now you do have a lot of leaves and kind of mud on the ground because it rained here, and with all the trees and shade, the disadvantage is it doesn't drain as well. So your campsites are going to be a little more messy, but still pretty nice spot here. And with this campground, you really can't say one spot is better than the others. They got several different loops around here. They're named by letters. I think we're on the F loop. But all the spots are pretty good. It's a big camper, small campers. There's some spots just for tent camping. So you kind of got a little bit of everything, but everybody here is really nice and friendly, and I really like this place. One more thing about all the shade, which is great. I love the shade, but there's a shower of acorns that will come down when the wind starts blowing here, and you got to watch out. Those things fall hard when they hit the top of a camper. It's loud. When they hit your truck, it's loud. I haven't got hit in the head with one, got hit in the back with one. But there's always disadvantages and advantages to shade. Just have to watch out for the acorns falling. And this one does have cable hookups. This campsite does. So every 6 or 8 campsites or so, you'll have your little 6 cable splitter right here. And we got it running to our table right here, and it works really good, and it's allowing us to watch the Georgia-Florida game. A lot of people around here watching that, a lot of people in town for that. Jekyll Island's a kind of popular spot for people to come during the Georgia-Florida game. I think a lot of these people that were here earlier that have already left are kind of using this as a pit stop.
Tuesday night, it's 3 a.m. I ought to be asleep. If only I could tell you all about the dreams I keep. Oh, about the dreams I keep. I wake up every morning and I'm wasted all the day. I turn it all around if I could only hear you say that you are here to stay.
So it's pretty nice not to be in a big hurry to get home today, right?
Yes.
And get a little spend a little time on the beach out here. Feels good out here.
It does feel good.
Waiting on the camper to dry off a little bit. Got some rain this morning. Had us worried that.
Worried sick. We thought we were leaving that camper and come back next week to get it.
Now it's nice and sunny out here. Things are drying out, and letting the kids get some energy out before we put them in the car later.
Yes. Best idea. Mom hack. Let your kids run around for a real long time.
That's right.
When the sky said the winter time is coming on, and you cry to see a shadow, babe, it's growing long across the lot, another song. Sometimes in my silence, before the city glowed, I still recall the nights when I could hear you breathe.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Pop-Up Life channel. We're here to do our official review of Jekyll Island Campground. Of course, as you can see, we're not at Jekyll Island Campground anymore.
So it's just like our pop-up. What are you talking about?
So we kind of wait to do the review portion of our video or our filming to the last day right when we leave, and sometimes that doesn't always work out. For instance, our last trip when we went to Black Rock, it was raining, so we had to do the review portion when we got back home. In this case with Jekyll, I think we had a 12 o'clock checkout time, noon checkout time, and we were waiting on the camper to dry out a little bit, and we kind of loafed around and just had a good time. Took the kids to the beach over on the what they call it, the Driftwood Beach, I guess,
right.
And played around, you know, with the kids, had a good time, hung out with some friends that were there with us, and next thing you know, it was like 12, and we're like, oh, we got to get packed up and get out of here.
We got to go.
We got to go before they try to charge us some overtime, so to say. And,
we ain't paying that $20.
So we had to get on out of there, and that's why we're doing the review here. But anyways, we had a great time at Jekyll. First time I had ever been there. And
not just to the campground, to the island.
To the island itself, yeah. We got some more trips coming up planned. There's actually a lot of really good campgrounds on the Georgia coast over there. I just didn't grow up going to the Georgia coast. We always went to the Gulf Coast because it was
Panhandle.
You know, 2 hours away, 2-3 hours away from here. The Georgia coast is closer, 3 to 4 hours away. But lots of good campgrounds over there that we'll be investigating and reviewing in the near future. So let's talk about Jekyll Island Campground in general. So one of the first things that made a great impression on me was that as soon as you rolled in there, they had this big stop sign. It's like, stop right here, don't go any further. And they got somebody that comes out there, they get your name, they figure out, where your reserve spot is, and then they escort you to your spot with a little golf cart. That's the first time I'd seen that in any campground, and I thought that was really neat and just a nice personal touch.
And they also hand you like 4 handouts too when you get there. It's like, here's the map, here's how to get your cable working, here's how the internet. I mean, just like a list of things, which I thought was really interesting. They very thoughtful. I think that's the best way to put it. They've really taken time to personalize the experience.
Very well staffed.
Yeah, very well staffed. I have never felt as safe with our boys just riding their bicycle around somewhere as I did here. And I don't know if it was because all of it was flat, so I didn't have to worry about them rolling down a big hill like we do and whenever we go up to North Georgia or what, but the cars all went really slow. There were a lot of children there. There was just other little neat stuff. They had this cute little, what was it, like a bird watching area?
Bird sanctuary.
Sanctuary.
Maybe we'd call it that.
Titus kept trying to jump in there. I would call it a squirrel/bird sanctuary. Some more squirrels than birds. But that was really cute. They had a great, for people who like to tent camp, they had another area in the back that were just, there were quite a few people there tent camping. So I liked that.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of Bald Mountain in Hiawassee as far as how kid friendly it was. You know, just the paths around the campsites, you know, kids could just ride their bicycles all day. And even though you couldn't like see them all the time, you knew they were safe. It was just very contained, very contained environment. And
there wasn't a lot of traffic. There wasn't a lot of in and out traffic, which I don't know if that's because it seemed like a lot of these campers had been there a while.
Not a lot of them, a few of them, yeah.
I don't know. It seemed like a bunch of them were homesteaded.
Yeah, there were some that had they had been there quite a while.
Yeah. So some more perks, not just of the campground, was also where the campground is located. So directly across the street is a road, which was bike friendly, that leads to the pier, and their pier there is really large. And off of the pier you can actually, right before you get to the pier, you can step off and go to the beach. There was parking down there. There was like a little bitty shack, like snack shack, had food. Also horseback riding right there down that road where you could get on a horse and go trail riding on the beach, which was really neat. Wish we had time to do something like that. So I liked that accessibility of it. I felt like you always had something to do, and you weren't too far from anything.
Yeah, and there was an actual, this is one of the first camping places we've been where there wasn't an actual playground there, or really anywhere, but there's so much room for the kids to ride their bikes and to ride across the street that it kept everybody, us adults as well. Me and my buddy P-Dub that was there went on several late evening bike rides just to go to the pier and see who was over there fishing and catching crabs or whatever. Just a lot of good places to ride your bicycle around and stuff like that.
Y'all were just trying to get out of putting your kids to bed, but
maybe so. I'll never admit to all that.
There is a playground that's not on the campsite, but further down the road towards the beach. There's a public playground and a little putt-putt. That's not public, but there is one on Jekyll Island. Anyway, I digress.
Anyway, so with it being our first time on Jekyll Island, we didn't know. Now we know that you should certainly take all your groceries before you get there. There's one grocery store that is extremely expensive, and you should take everything before you get there. You should also, and we should have known this, there was a big sign as you run in the campground there, to beware of the raccoons. The raccoons will eat your food, and we thought we were somewhat secure with our food storage. Little did we know they can open a cooler, and they can get your eggs, all 12 of them. So
making themselves an omelet.
Like, I'm not kidding you, and it's not like where our campsite was kind of in the middle of the campground, so there wasn't a ton of woods around, and I don't know where these guys were hiding, but I swear, you walk away.
They're up the trees.
You walk away for like 20 minutes and come back, and they have ravaged something or another. They're like just scoping it out, and they're like, "Oh, he's gone. Let's go attack. Let's go." They're like ninjas.
The squirrels too. I mean, the squirrels tried to open the brownies with us sitting right there. It reminded me a lot of the squirrels in DC. All those squirrels are so used to people, you could hand feed them.
Supposedly, animal control is not something they like to practice on that island at all. We heard stories about people with deer. Just the deer are overpopulated and just everywhere in people's yards. Nobody can have a garden there, and the raccoons and the squirrels are just massively repopulating themselves, and obviously it's become an issue. But not that big of a deal. We just know to kind of keep the cooler shut.
No, you need to keep the coolers like in your truck or or you need to put a lock on them.
Yeah.
At night. They can open things. I mean, people know raccoons. They got cute little hands.
Yeah.
They can open peanut butter jars. They can open whatever. So they can't leave anything out.
So in general, it's a great place to take a family, to go with another group of friends that we had with their kids. Would really like to go back. I'd like to spend more time there. I don't feel like, we just went for a short little weekend trip. I feel like we should go for 3 nights at least if we go back, just to be able to experience more of it.
It's hard going anywhere for 2 nights.
It is. It was really shaded, which was nice. Anytime you're on the coast, whether it be the Georgia coast or Gulf Coast, really any time of year, but especially in the warmer months, and we were kind of tailing off of the warmer months, you're going to get some afternoon coastal showers. But it wasn't too bad, just a little bit here and there.
But it doesn't dry out well because it's so shaded.
Right.
That's the only problem is that, it's real shaded, but it also stays pretty wet.
Yeah. I wouldn't go there in the middle of the summer.
No.
I think late October, November.
It was still hot.
December, January, February, maybe March would be on the edge of when I would go, but I think in the winter months it's a great option.
Speaking of critters.
As a place to go. Hello, tiger. What else? So, good campground, clean, very well taken care of, shaded. The camping sites.
Ooh,
this was kind of weird. They were not really geometrically oriented. Some of them would have a camper parked this way and the other one had a camper parked this way. It wasn't like they were all stacked side by side, so everybody had equal room. It was pretty odd, and I understand why it was like that.
Why?
Well, because they had all those trees in there, and they were trying to keep the trees in there, and so they were working around the trees. And that's why the spots were all kind of oddball. Now, some of the places, like up towards the front of the campground where our friends were, they were stacked in there kind of evenly.
Or if you're on an outside, so it's sort of like imagine like a large rectangle and it had 2 other lanes running in the middle of it. So it was like 4 lanes of RVs. You are right beside your neighbor.
Yeah, pretty close quarters.
Very close. But it didn't feel like Carabel, I think, because of the trees.
Yeah, the trees, you were a little more space. And there were a lot of small campers there. Nice. Right. It wasn't like, something about Caribou, it just was like a bunch of old curmudgeon people there that were
Travis. I don't know about that.
Not all of them.
It just seemed like you were parked in a parking lot.
It weren't our type of travelers that were at Caribou.
And not just that, your spot was very well drawn off, whereas it was a little bit different here. Even though the spots were little and small, it wasn't like you could sort of move your stuff over a little bit to the other guys, and you'd be like, that was my campsite.
Yeah. There weren't specific lanes or so. So everything wasn't exactly marked off, which made it a little difficult to get in the campsite. With the pop-up's always nice, because we can pick that rascal up and turn it whichever way we need to, and that's what we did.
Right. So another little downfall was that everything there is like a gravelly dirt. There was no paved roads going in, which meant the kids' feet were always disgusting. My camper got really gross. It was like you just couldn't really get anything very clean.
They sold pine straw.
Yeah, to help.
Up at the front office there.
I was ready to buy some.
You could make your own little fluffy pad.
I was ready to get some. I was like, load it up. Give me 10 bells. Because I was...
10 bells.
I don't know. I was tired of washing those feet.
Yeah, the messy feet were an issue. The bathrooms of all the places we've been to, these were probably the least desirable bathroom situation. It wasn't great. Now, when I go camping, especially if I'm on the coast or near a river,
I wish you would not tell everybody this.
washing is
So gross.
not a high priority.
For everyone else, it is.
Well, maybe so. At home, I'm a once or twice a day guy. But if I'm getting near a coast or near a river, I can go 2 days
He's trying
easily.
to build in his own like social distancing bubble. Like,
Yeah.
ain't nobody trying to get near you.
Yeah, I just create my own aroma.
Okay.
Anyway, this place made you kind of not want to really take a shower.
I don't know why. It was just old. The bathrooms,
old.
the bathrooms didn't look bad. Like they were, they
It wasn't
cleaned
awful.
them.
Just wasn't as nice as some of the other places.
They were just old. I mean, there's just no other way. They just look like
They could
old.
use a little.
It's time for a little remodeling.
Yeah.
The bathrooms, like stalls, were fine. The sinks were fine. They cleaned them frequently. They had like doors on them. They had a fan in there. It wasn't air conditioned. It needed to be because it was that warm when we went in November.
Just the showers weren't the nicest we've been to.
Right. No, but like I said, they were clean. They weren't like dirty. They just looked old.
But everything else there at the campground was very well
Maintained.
It was clean.
Yeah.
Very well taken care. I think they probably are just due for a little bit of a bathroom renovation, so we can't fault them too much there, considering everything else.
Right.
So for an official score on this one, and you can adjust this if you want to.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with an 8.7.
I think that's good.
I think that's
I
good.
don't know. I kind of like 8.5.
The
Just-
8.5 is better. Okay.
So
we'll go 8.5.
I like the campground, but I like the area the most. So I feel like the campground itself doesn't really need a 8.7. The area needs that. Like Jekyll Island, just the accessibility to everything's really nice. The campground, the spots were small, but I still would go back. I liked
just
it a lot.
because just the area is nice. You're
Right.
isolated.
Right.
Lots to do. Whatever.
Right.
So 8.5 or
Yes.
8.7, you call it.
I say 8.5.
8.5. Okay, so we're gonna call Jekyll Island Campground at 8.5, and if we go back and they have the bathrooms redone,
I'll bump it up.
yeah, it
Don't
may be a better score.
If it's not so wet and dirty.
It's definitely one we would highly recommend, and our friends that were there, we were talking how we should go again next winter and stay for 3 or 4
longer.
days. It's not.
I would
one.
go back in a heartbeat. I think we've just had a slew of camping trips that have had a good amount of rain, and it's rough. I mean, it's not just the rain, it's just like how everything gets wet and you can't really sit down anywhere and you feel like you just can't get anything dry. So maybe that's really what's skewing. If it hadn't rained at all, I'd probably give it a higher score.
I get
I think
that.
it was just things
I
were
get
muddy
that.
and
You're grading the
wet.
experience a little bit. I think 8.5 is still a good score.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, now the potty scored also 8.5. So if you're around the Georgia coast and need a good camping spot, would highly recommend
Even if you're not.
Jekyll Island Campground.
I'd travel 4 or 5 hours for that.
Yeah, good spot to go.
Beach is nice, not real busy.
Yeah, great little place to go. So I hope you enjoyed this review.
Yeah.
And if you did, give us a big thumbs up there. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Ring that little bell so you get notified every time we come out with a new video. And we will see you guys on the next camping trip.
Bye.